This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, in Python, we have one philosophy called that is duck typing philosophy. Duck typing philosophy. Okay, so what is this philosophy? So we can say a statement like if it walks and talks like duck, then it is duck. Okay, this is the philosophy. You may find it funny. Yes, it is funny only. Okay, Python is a dynamic type of programming language. We know that not only for variables, even for the objects also, it is dynamic. We don't know what type while we are declaring the variable or object. After declaring the object, after creating the object, uh, the data will be, I mean, the data type will be assigned. So based on the content we are using, the data type will be assigned. The same way for objects also, if you have written one function against an object, if you have written some logic against an object, okay, we don't know what is that object by the time we are writing the function. Whenever it is executing, whenever we are calling it, based on the properties, we will decide what type of object it is. Okay, duck means you can think like that. So based on the properties, if it walks like a duck and if it talks like duck, then it is a duck. This is duck typing philosophy. So if an object is having so and so properties, if an object is having so and so functionalities, then we can say it is a some xyz class related object. Okay, that is known as duck typing philosophy. This theory may not be so much useful for you. Important point for you is two things. You can pass an object to a function and you can call the properties of it. That is one thing. And before calling an object related function, you can check whether a specific function is available, whether a specific method is available for the object or not. Okay, that means simply has a attribute, we have a method, so that is important. Let us see with example for better understanding. If I say more theory, you may not be able to get it, so let me add a program. So I'll add one Python file. I'll say duck typing. Okay, I'll write a couple of classes here. Say class duck, for example. Okay, I'll take one method, one object instance method. Print, say quack quack. Okay, just it's a simple class. One class name is duck. Inside this one, I have created only one method, that is talk method, that is instance method. Inside the talk method, I have mentioned one print statement with a quack quack. Okay, I'll write one more class dog, for example. Define talk, okay, and print bobo. Okay, class cat, for example. Define talk, print, say meow meow, whatever the spelling is. Okay, now I have three classes here. I'll write one logic here, one function I will define here outside the classes. Say call or run, for example, something. Run object, okay, object dot talk. That's it. See here, now I have three classes here. One class is duck class, one is dog class, one is cat class. In all the three classes, I have a common method. Method name is talk. Okay. These talk methods are self, that means instance methods, object level methods. Okay, that's done. Step one is completed. In the step two, I have created one function. Function name is run. Okay, run or call or you name it anything. For that method, I am passing object as a parameter. Object as a parameter, I'm passing to it. Then in the line number 14, I'm calling object dot talk. Object dot talk I'm calling. So based on the object I'm passing to the run method, to the run function, if I am passing duck related object, it will print quack quack. If I am passing dog related object, it will print bow bow, like that. So until we call this method object dot talk, it don't know so what type of object it is. Not only talk method here, for example, we have taken only one method. So based on the methods or properties you have written inside that, you don't know until the execution what type of attributes it is having. Okay, say for example, I'll create an object o equals to duck, for example. Okay, this is an object creation. Now I'll call the run method, run of o. Simple, right? Sorry, it's run, not fun. Run of o. So this is an object o equals to duck. I'm creating an object for duck class. I'm calling run function. So when I'm calling run function, what happens? Run function will be executed. O, the object will be passed as a parameter for the obj. And here what I have written, obj dot talk. So obj in the runtime, it will be understandable like it is a duck related object. It is a duck related object until the runtime, until the line number 17 and 18 executes object, we don't know what type of object it is. Okay, so that is known as duck typing philosophy. So if I run this, see, I got the quack quack. It's very straightforward. Say for example, here I'll create an object for cat. Okay, if I create an object for cat, run meow meow. So in the runtime only we are able to understand what type of object it is. But for example, if I am trying to have different properties, but in this example I have taken same properties or same methods, but in real time we don't see like same type of objects, right? Same type of functions in all the classes, right? So for a duck, okay, I have a talk class, for example. For a dog, for example, instead of talk class, I have a bark function. I have a bark method. I don't have a talk method. Okay. Now, for example, if I run the same application, same program, will it work? Okay. I'm creating an object for dog. Okay. I'm creating an object for dog. I'm saying run of object. Now it will come to the execution of a run function, that is line number 13 and 14. In the line number 14, I'm saying object dot talk. Object means here dog related object. Dog object dot talk. So it will go here in the dog class. I do not have any talk method. I mean, yes, I do not have any talk method. I have only bark method, right? So in this situation, what happens? It will give error. See here, dog object has no attribute talk. I don't have an attribute of talk inside the dog class. So this is important. Has no attribute. It is saying has no attribute. Say for example, here if I say cat, for cat class we have talk method. So meow meow will be executed. So what I have to do is here, while while calling the object related method, what I need to do is I have to check whether a specific attribute is available or not. Okay, our error message is also very much relevant. How can I check? Like has attribute, one method we have. Okay, obj comma, sorry, it's comma talk. Then I'll say obj dot talk. Else I'll say obj dot bark. Okay. Now, will I get any problem here? No. Before executing talk method, before executing a bark method, ideally I have to write the condition here also. Else if else if has attribute obj comma bark. I need to check this one also. Else print method not available. Method is not available. Okay. See now. So this time, if I create an object for cat, okay, it will come here. Run object, cat related object. It will check whether talk related talk attribute is there or not. Yes, it is there. Then object dot talk will be executed. No, it's not there. If I created an object for dog, for example, okay, so it will come here. It will check object is having talk method or not. No. Next, it will go for the else if object is containing bark method or not. Yes. So object dot bark will be executed. Okay. This way we can handle. See, bow bow I am getting. Say cat, for example. For cat also it will work fine. Okay, this is how to handle duck typing philosophy actually. Okay, simple guys. As part of syllabus I have explained you what is duck typing philosophy and all. As a programmer, as a logical thinker, what you have to remember here is the important point is has attribute, has attr, this function you have to remember. What is the purpose of this function? You have to pass two parameters for this one. But one is object, the another one is name of the method. If you pass one object and the name of the method to has attribute function, what it will give? If that function is available, it will give you true. If that function is not available, it will give you false. Okay, you have to remember that has attribute function. That's it. Sorry guys. Okay, is it clear? Any questions about this one? So theory, you may see a different kind of terminology here. And coming to practical thing, as I'm repeating again. So in this example, what you have to understand is we have a method, we have a function called has attribute in Python that will help us to check whether the given object is having a function or not. Okay, if you can remember that, we are good with this example. Okay, next we'll talk about polymorphism. As many people say, poly means many, morphism means forms. Okay, many forms. So polymorphism is a concept like poly and morphism, many forms. Maybe I can say this way in simple term: an entity behaving differently based on different inputs. Okay, based on the inputs you are giving, one entity, one function or one object will be behaving differently based on the inputs. Okay, the same method will be there, but it will act like different ways. That is known as polymorphism. One method acting differently. How one method can act differently? The thing is, for one method we will write different logics. Okay, so we'll see with examples one by one. So when we are talking about polymorphism, we need to understand three things. Okay, so here let me write. One thing is overloading we need to understand. Second one is overriding we need to understand. So overloading and overriding are two main concepts of polymorphism. Okay, overloading is also known as compile time polymorphism. Overriding is also known as runtime polymorphism. Okay, let me write down here like a compile time polymorphism, and this is runtime polymorphism. Runtime. Okay, this concept is same in all the programming languages. Concept wise, it is common in all the programming languages. But the thing is, some cases will work in Python, some cases will work in a different way in Python. We'll see with examples. While we are talking about overloading, we need to understand about two types of overloadings. Okay, one is operator overloading. Second one is method overloading. Method overloading. Okay. Also, compile time polymorphism, also known as early polymorphism or early binding. Runtime polymorphism, also known as late binding. Okay, there are different names in the industry. Okay, so simple terms, polymorphism means an entity behaving differently based on different inputs. Okay, that is polymorphism. In any programming language, you can consider the same definition. Poly means many, morphism means forms. Okay, same method behaving different ways, different forms. Okay, that is the concept of polymorphism. When we are talking about polymorphism, we need to understand about overloading and overriding. If you are good with overloading and overriding, we are done with the polymorphism concept. As part of overloading, we have two types of overloadings. Okay, operator overloading is there and method overloading is there. Okay, next overriding is there. Overriding comes for methods only. Okay, and there is no overriding for operators. Okay, let us see with some examples what is an operator overloading. We'll see now. So there are operators we know, like plus minus star, forward slash for division, floor division we have, modulus we have, power we have, right? So so many operators we have discussed. So we know what is the purpose of each operator. Let me add one more file for operator overloading. Operator overloading example. Okay, say for example a equals to 10, b equals to 20. Okay, if I say print a plus b, so okay, what happens here? Here what is the operator? Operator is plus is the operator. What I'll get here? I'll get 30 as my output, that we all know. Okay, how it is happening? 30. So how it is happening? Plus is the operator. It will check the operands data type. What are the data types of operands? It is numbers only. They are numbers only, integers. So upon integers, if you are performing plus operator, it will calculate mathematical sum, that we all know. Okay. For example, here I'll say SLC and here Python. Python. What is the output now? I'll get what output I'll get? Will I get any mathematical calculation? No. See here, SLC, Python. I have used the same operator, but it is behaving differently. Okay, based on the input I'm giving here, it is behaving differently. It is performing different actions. If I'm providing numbers, it is calculating the mathematical sum. If I'm providing strings, it is doing a concatenation operation. So the same operator is behaving differently based on the input we are giving. That is the concept of polymorphism. Okay, so of course, for plus symbol, what are the different types of overloadings? They have already written. Who has developed the Python? It's like a system overloading function. It's already available. Can I override one more method for my plus symbol? So like when I want to operate a plus symbol upon two different objects or my own objects, can I write my own logic? Yes, we can write. Okay. Say for example, I'll write one class here. Say class, say book for example. I'll take book class. I'll create say one on constructor also. I'll define say pages. Okay, so self dot pages equals to pages. Okay, I have one instance variable pages, and in the constructor I'm passing pages as a parameter, and I'm assigning it. Fine. Okay, now I'll create an object b1 equals to book of 100. Okay, this book is having 100 pages. Good. b2 equals to book of 200. Okay, b2 equals to book of 200. Fine. So I got two objects here. Now what I'll say here is, say for example, b3 equals to b1 plus b2, or I'll say print of b1 plus b2. What happens? What happens if I run this one? Let me run this. See guys, I'm getting an error here. Unsupported operand type or types for plus. For plus symbol, it is saying I have provided unsupported operands. What are the supported operands? I have to provide numbers or strings or boolean. That kind of data only I can provide to the plus operator in the left hand side and right hand side. If I'm providing that way, it will calculate something and it will show it to me. But here I'm providing B1 and B2. B1 and B2 objects I'm providing. What it will say? It is saying I don't know what to do with B1 and B2 when you are using plus operator. That is what it is saying. Okay, right. So, but I have a requirement. I want to use, so I have used maybe books related organization I have. So, okay, I have a form like that. So here I need to operate so many things related to books, pages, blah blah blah. Okay, so when I create an object for book, I should be able to perform all mathematical operators even using book object also, like b1 plus b2, b1 minus b2. Like that also, if I'm trying to do something, I should get the output. Okay, if I have that kind of requirement, for example, what I can do is I can override this plus operator for book class. I can override the functionality of plus symbol for book class. Okay, how can I do that? Let me erase this. I'll write one method here. Define add method. Okay. See, it is automatically coming here. When I say add, self and other, it is coming. Self and other, it is coming. Self is also one object. Other is also one object. Both are book class objects only. Okay. Both are book class objects only. Say for example, let me write the code. Return self dot pages plus other dot pages. Okay, I'm returning what I'm doing here, self dot pages plus other dot pages. When you say b1 plus b2, for example, b1 will come like self, b2 will come like other. Okay, it's very simple. Let me write the code and you can understand. Say b1 equals to book of 100 pages. Okay, b2 equals to book of 200 pages. Okay, if I say print b1 plus b2. Okay, now will it give any error? No, it won't give error. See here, I got the output 300. So how the plus is associated with underscore underscore add underscore underscore? Actually, for in Python we have one method for each operator. I can say for plus operator you have underscore underscore add method. For minus operator you have underscore underscore sub method we have. For star we have multiple. For forward slash we have division method. Like that we have set of methods already available in the Python. What you have to do is you have to implement those methods inside the class. Okay, so for plus, if you are using plus b1 plus b2, what happens is it will check whether underscore underscore add underscore underscore method is available in the book class or not. Yes, it is available. Then b1 will be considered as self, b2 will be considered as other. It will perform the calculation whatever you are trying to do, and here I'm just returning the total of the pages, but you can write your own logic here. Whatever the logic you want, you can write here, and you can, if you want to print, you can print it. If you want to assign to another variable, assign it like that. Okay, so this example is clear to everyone. So how to remember plus and underscore underscore add is, we have to remember that for plus operator what is the method, that way we have to remember only. Anyhow, I'll provide you the list of operators and available methods so that you can use them. Okay, for now I'll write a couple of more methods. Say for example, define underscore underscore sub, okay, return self dot pages minus other dot pages. Okay, underscore underscore sub is for subtraction, for minus operator. Okay, define multiple multiplication operator, return self dot pages star other dot pages. Done. Define underscore underscore division. Okay, div modulus, no, div only the method actually. Let us see. Why it's not coming? We have for mod different operator. Okay, let us see, maybe it is changed in 3x. Self dot pages divided by other dot pages. Okay, yes, let us print all here. So we'll say 2 3 4 b1 plus b2, b1 minus b2, b1 into b2, b1 divided by b2. Okay, just to see proper outputs, I want to change these values like 50 and 20. Okay, now I'll run this program. For forward slash it is missing. Actually this is division only, but I don't know why it's not coming. If you forget like what method is used for what one, you can search in the Google also. Okay, for now I'll write for floor division just to
Mr.
show
Division
you.
spelling, maybe DIVISON.
Let us try. Actually div is the correct one. I didn't use these days. Let's see. Division is not supporting. We'll see. Let us see. Floor division is available. Yeah, floor divide. Let us try here. Floor division. Simple way is, when you want to do operator overloading for a specific operator, you just check in the Google, like what is the method, overloading method for plus symbol in Python, what is the overloading method for star symbol, like that. If you can check, we can get the relevant methods. We have different methods for all the operators. Whatever the operators we have tried in the operators concept, for all the operators we have different methods. Okay, so of course, if some reason if you can't find one method, you can Google it. Okay, for now you have to at least understand the concept. See, b1 is an object of our own class. Book is defined by us, so book is our class, and we are able to use operators against our class related objects. So that is the concept of operator overloading. Operator overloading. Okay, is it clear till here? I mean, operator overloading concept is clear to everyone, or any questions? What if we want to perform operation between 3 or more? That's a good question. You have to add more. Here I have mentioned other, right? Let us try. Even I didn't try. I didn't get a chance to try this one. Let me try. B1 plus B3. Say B2 only again. I doubt whether it should work or not. The reason is, I'll tell you in a moment. It should give an error. If it is giving error, that is correct. Good. Yes. Even I got confused with your question. Answer is simple. Can anyone tell me? What if I want to use Ganesh is asking one question. What if we want to perform operation between 3 or more? It is a question. Okay, so what is the answer?
Sir, I think it only works for only two objects, like
Why?
only for binary.
Why?
Why? Because this plus and this minus is like binary operator, right? No, like it's an what do we call it? Like, it only performs between two objects or something.
Yes, your understanding is correct. Ganesh,
Operands.
this is the answer for your question. Any operator you consider, for operator left hand side and right hand side, we will be having here one operand at left hand side and one operator at the right hand side, right? So against only two objects only we can perform this kind of things. That is the answer. Shall I try like this? B2, B1 plus B2 plus B2. Will it work? Ideally, yes. Unsupported operand plus intent book. Maybe I'll write this way. Intent book. Why? Okay, got it. I understand. Okay, it's a logical issue actually. So here we are passing, when we perform plus operator, I'm passing like pages plus pages, I'm returning as a number, right? So this will become a number, and for this number I'm trying to add one more object, so it will give you error. Okay, logic you have to change actually. So if you want to perform this way, b1 plus b2 plus b2 like this, if you want to perform here, instead of returning pages plus pages and a number, you prepare one book related object here and you return the object, then it will work. Okay, it's a logical gap, not the um, concept related problem. Okay, without calling the method, how can it consider methods in class? Without calling the method, I didn't understand your question, Harni. Can you repeat your question?
Sir, here we did not call any methods like add, sub, mul, floor division,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Per object, along with object.
Okay.
How can it consider?
Actually, plus when you are saying b1 plus b2 means it is a calling of add method only. Okay,
sir.
b1 plus b2
Okay.
means you are calling this add method only. You are passing b1 and b2 two objects and you are calling it. So this part will be executed.
Okay, sir.
Okay, but
Okay.
maybe here underscore add we don't use. Plus is the representation for underscore add method.
Okay,
Okay,
sir. Okay.
Clear guys? Operator overloading is clear to everyone? Any questions on this? If we are good, I'll go to the next topic. Stop me if you have any question. Next, method overloading. Or constructor overloading also you can say. Actually in Python, in general programming languages, do we have to remember all of the code or we just need to understand? You have to understand the concept, Rian. So whenever it is required for you, you can search for the operator in the Google. Anyhow, in the consolidated notes, I will share with you. So which operator, for which operator, which method you have to use, that is already documented. Short, I'll share the notes. Maybe at the end of the sessions, I'll share a consolidated document with all our programs and all the topics we discussed. Mostly by last week of the sessions I will share. Okay, so you can refer that. Okay, next concept, method overloading. In other programming language, this concept is slightly different comparing to Java and .NET and Python. Okay, in Java and .NET the concept will be similar, but in Python it is slightly different. Method overloading means we write different methods in the same class with the same name. Okay, if you want to write add method only, you write the add method, but with the different signatures. I mean to say, you can pass different types of data types as parameters, or different number of parameters also you can pass. Okay, that is how method overloading works in other programming languages. But in Python, we do not have supporting method overloading concept. It does not support means it won't give you any error, but it will consider only the last defined method only. It will consider only the last defined method. Instead of talking more theory, let me write one example. Say class test. I have a class here. Okay. Say I'll define some methods. M1. Say print. Say M1. That's it. Okay. Next I'll write one more method. Define M1 only, and I'll pass a variable here. Okay, print m1 comma a, for example. Okay, this is how we write method overloading in other programming languages. Okay, generally how we can call it as, like for example, you can create an object like t equals to test. Okay, and you can call t dot m1. If you call t dot m1, the line number 3, and the line number 3 you have written a method that will be executed. Like if you call t dot m1 and 10, for example, if you are passing one parameter, the line number 6th, in the line number 6th, whatever the method you have written, that will be executed. This is how it works in other programming languages. But in Python, when you are writing method overloading with the same name, if you are writing another method also later, the first method will be ignored. So that method will not be available. Only the last method will be available for you. So if I run this one, it will give an error. If I run this program, see M1 missing one required positional argument A. That means when line number 11 is executed, the see here, you can see in the error message also where it is coming in the line number 11. Okay, in the line number 11, the error is coming. What is the error? M1 method calling is missing one required optional argument A. So in the line number 11, you are calling a method m1, but you are not passing a parameter value for variable A. That is what it is saying. So even though we have a method without any parameters in the line number 3 and 4, it is ignored. Okay, only the lastly defined method, whatever the lastly defined method is available in the class, that will only be considered. If I pass some value here, for example, 20, so now this will work. So the lastly generated method m1 is having with one parameter that will be considered. Say if I write another method, same name, m1 self a comma b. Okay, print m1. Now will it work? No, it won't work, because at the what is the last method we have defined with the name m1? The method with two parameters. So that we are not calling with two parameters, so it will fail. Okay. For example, this is above here. Then it will work. What is the last method we have defined? M1 with only one parameter. So when you are calling this will work. Okay. So this way it will work. Okay. The same concept will be applicable for constructor overloading also. Even in your class, if you have multiple constructors, so whatever the lastly defined constructor is there, that constructor will only be considered. The remaining will all be ignored. Okay, that is the thing we need to remember as part of method overloading in Python. Is it clear? It is same for method overloading and constructor overloading. The point to remember is the method overloading or constructor overloading is not supported. It is not supported in Python. Okay, but still, if you are writing overloading methods, it won't give you any error. Okay, it won't give you any error. But when you are calling the methods, when you are using the methods, only lastly defined method will be considered. Remember all these points I'm talking about when you are using the method with the same name, m1 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 only. Okay, if method overloading, you are trying to overload the same method. If I'm writing m2, there is no problem. M1 is different, m2 is different. Okay, for a method with same name, I'm talking about all these rules. Clear, guys? If you are clear, I'll go to the next example, method overriding. Method overriding, we have already seen the example. So, but you may not know that this is the concept. Method overriding. Operator overloading is better. Okay. So, didn't you get what is method overriding, Rian? Method overloading means in general programming languages, you can write different methods with the same name also. That is possible in other programming languages. But in Python, it is not possible. If you are writing still, if you forget the rule and if you are writing multiple methods in the same class with the same name, then the last method only be in the existence. The remaining methods will be ignored. That is what we need to remember. If you remember that we are good. Some people in interviews also, they may ask you this question: is method overloading supported in Python or not? Okay, it's not supported, you can say. Okay, next method overriding. Overriding means rewriting the method. Okay, this concept comes with the inheritance concept. Okay, in parent class you have a method, and in the child class you want to override, you want to provide a new definition, or you want to redefine the method. That concept is known as method overriding. Say for example, we have seen some examples for this one. If you remember, yesterday also we have seen like employee and person class, right? Person class, for example, define is employee. Okay, return false, or let's say print false. Print false. This is one method. Class employee person. Instead of writing new example, I'm writing the same example only. Print true. Okay, see here, person is the, I'm sorry here, yeah, person is the parent class, employee is the child class. There is an inheritance between person class and employee class. That is clear, right? Next, if you are inheriting, you have a method is employee in the parent class, and with the same name, you have another method with the same name in the child class, right? So, what is happening here? The definition is different here. For each employee, you are printing false in the parent class. For each employee method, you are printing true in the child class. Okay, so this is the concept of overriding. So the same method is there in the parent. Of course, when you are inheriting parent class into child class, all the methods available in the parent class will be available in the child class also. Okay, but if you want to write a new definition for one of the methods, yes, you can write. That concept is known as method overriding. If I create an object for employee class, e equals to employee, okay, and if I call e dot is employee, which one will be executed? The newly redefined method will be executed. This example we have already seen in inheritance concept. See here, true it is coming. So this is the concept of method overriding. So you want to have a method with same name. Generally, it comes with naming conventions. When you are following certain naming convention for your methods and logically correct names when you are providing, so this concept comes to the picture. So when you want to have a same method in the child class also, but you want to have a different logic, then simply you can define the same method again. It will override the parent class method. That's it. Okay. So Harini is asking one question. Previously is one class we are able to write only one constructor, right? Not only one constructor, Harini. Even if you are writing multiple constructors also, it will consider only one. How to perform constructor overloading? Constructor overloading is, let me write one example, Harini. Okay, give me some time. So method overriding is clear, guys. It's very simple only. Is it clear? Any doubts on this part? So redefining the same existing method of parent class in the child class, that is known as method overriding. Rian, what is your question? Clear or no? Okay, fine. Okay, good. Okay, let me add one class. Constructor overloading. Say I have a class test. Okay, I have a constructor. Okay, print constructor 1. If I have another constructor, init self comma a, for example, print constructor 2. Okay, in other programming languages, this is the concept of constructor overloading. But in Python, if you try to create an object for a constructor with no parameters, it will fail. The reason is you have defined another constructor also here. So of course, constructor is also a method, right? So is the method overloading concept properly available in Python? No, actually. It's because of scripting capabilities or what that capability. I mean that method overloading concept is not available in Python. So still, if you are writing method overloading or constructor overloading, what happens is the lastly created method or the lastly created constructor will only be considered. The previous one will be ignored. So if I say t equals to test, what it will say is forget about this one. Assume that this is not available. What happens if this is not available? The same thing will happen here. So self dot a is the constructor. A is a variable parameter. It will expect a parameter here. Please pass one parameter here, otherwise I cannot create an object. Like that, it will tell us. See here, init constructor missing one required argument called a. Okay, say for example, if I pass value 10, for example, if I run it, it will work. See, constructor 2. Okay, still if you want to have like a different behavior for different constructors, logically you have to handle. So for example, if you want to pass different number of parameters here, like test of 10 comma 20, I'll pass, maybe I'll create another object, object with maybe 30 and 40. For all these type of scenarios also, my program should work. If you have that kind of requirement, you have to handle with your logics. Like maybe you can use star a, remember, right? So to one function, if you want to pass variable number of parameters, we have used a star a concept. Okay, so logically you have to handle. How you want to handle, that is up to you. The thing is, you have to logically handle. If you still want to have uh, different types of constructors or different types of methods with different number of arguments, then you have to based on your requirement, you have to differently write the logic and handle it. But by default, if you are trying to override a method or overload a method or overload a constructor, only the lastly created method or constructor will be considered. That is the point to remember. Is it clear, Harini?
Sir,
Yes, sir. Clear, sir.
Tarun, go ahead.
so what is this star, sir?
Star, you missed that concept. Like while we are discussing about methods, we have seen examples for variable number of parameters.
Okay.
So
So you can give how many parameters you want. You can give a
yeah,
number of parameters.
yes. Okay, if I have an example, I'll quickly show it. Let me write quickly one example. Test, I'll say. It's like a define, say M1 and star A, for example. Okay. Here you can use a for loop kind of thing. For say sum equals to, I'm giving one example only. Like for x in A, sum equals to sum plus x, for example. Here I can call M1 with different number of parameters that will work. Okay, assuming that 30, 30 comma 20, 20, 30, 40, 50. Okay, let me print the sum also so that we can see the output. Print sum. If I run this, it will work. See, 10, 30, 60, 150. Okay, so logic you have to write properly. So based on your needs, you have to write the logic properly. Star A means you can pass n number of parameters. So when you don't know how many number of parameters you are going to pass to your method, so we have to write star A. They should be of same type. Maybe if you can handle logically, maybe you can um, compare like what type of data you are sending, and then you want to implement some logic. You can have different types of data also. That is possible. Okay. Instead of
Okay,
sum
sir.
equals to sum plus x, you could say sum plus equal to yes. Yes, Rian. Yes, that is possible. You can write s plus equals to, you have to write s plus equals to, you can write this way, addition plus assignment operator. Okay. Okay guys, so polymorphism concept, we covered all the topics. Is it clear to everyone? So an entity behaving differently based on different inputs is known as polymorphism. Poly means many, morphism means forms. As part of this, we need to understand about overloading and overriding. Overloading, when we are talking about overloading, we have operator overloading and method overloading. you can define your own logic for operators. We have different operators. For each operator in your class, if you want to write a new logic, yes, you can write. Okay. Method overloading or constructor overloading is not supported in Python. Even if you are writing multiple methods or constructors with same name with the different parameters, of course it won't give you any compile time error. But while while calling it in the runtime, you have to consider only the lastly created method or lastly created constructor only. That will only be in the existence. The previous ones will not be in the existence. Okay. Next, method overriding means this concept comes with inheritance. Okay, one parent class will be there and one child class will be there. So one method which is available in the parent class, you want to overwrite in the child class. Yes, that is possible. And uh, the new logic you can implement in the child class for the same function. And when you are creating an object and calling the method, when you created an object for the child class, and if you are calling that same method, the child class logic will be executed. Okay. In the same way, if you create an object for see here I have created an object for employee class, that is child class, and I'm calling the method. Child class method will be executed. But if I create an object for person class, the parent class, then the parent class method will be executed. Of course, the parent class method will be there, but we are writing only in the child class method. Okay, only in the child class only we are overriding it. This example yesterday we have seen. Okay, the same example. Is it clear, guys? Any questions on this part? No. Okay. Okay, good then. Let's close the session for today and let's catch up tomorrow, same time, 10:30. Okay.